Daniel sat in his dimly lit living room, staring at the vacation photo his wife, Emily, had sent him just a few days earlier. She was smiling, the golden sunset reflecting off the ocean behind her. She looked happy, maybe too happy. He had tried to suppress his unease when she first told him about the trip. "It's just for closure," Emily had said. "Ethan and I need to clear the air. No hard feelings, no unfinished business." Ethan, her ex. The man she had loved before Daniel. The one who, as far as Daniel knew, had never really moved on. At first, Daniel had wanted to object, but Emily reassured him. "He's engaged now," she said. "It's not like that." Now sitting there, he wished he had trusted his instincts. Because 2 hours ago, he had gotten the call that changed everything. In her hotel room. No signs of foul play. No forced entry. Nothing stolen. Just a tragic, unexplained death. But Daniel knew. Deep down he knew. Ethan. Ignoring the polite reassurances of the U.S. Embassy, Daniel booked the first flight to the island. By the time he arrived, Ethan had already left, returning home as if nothing had happened. But Daniel wasn't about to let this go. Back home, Daniel did his own digging. The autopsy had been inconclusive, organ failure with no obvious cause. But Daniel found something unusual. A detail in the report mentioning traces of an unrecognizable substance in Emily's system. Poison. He reached out to an independent toxicologist, who confirmed his worst fears. The substance was rare, difficult to detect, and often used in small, delayed doses. It wouldn't have killed instantly but would have made it seem like a natural death. Daniel confronted Ethan. He went to his apartment, knocking with an eerie calm. When Ethan opened the door, his face drained of color. "I know what you did," Daniel said. Ethan hesitated, then smirked, just slightly. "You can't prove anything," he said. "Emily left you. And now she's gone. That's life." That was the moment Daniel realized the truth. Ethan had never moved on. He had planned this from the start, inviting Emily on this trip, pretending to seek closure. He didn't want to win her back. He wanted revenge. But Daniel wasn't going to let him get away with it. What happened next, only Daniel knew. Some say Ethan disappeared without a trace. Others say his body washed up weeks later on the shore of the same island where Emily died. But one thing was certain, justice had been served. And Daniel never spoke of it again. After Ethan's disappearance, Daniel knew he had to be careful. Revenge had come swiftly, but it had left a trail, one that could lead back to him if he wasn't smart. He had planned every step meticulously, ensuring there was no direct connection between him and Ethan's fate. The authorities weren't oblivious, though. When Ethan was reported missing, the police questioned Daniel, given the history between him, Emily, and Ethan. "You were seen outside his apartment the night before he disappeared," the detective said, flipping through his notes. "Anything you'd like to tell us?" Daniel kept his expression neutral. "We talked. I confronted him about Emily's death. But he brushed me off like he always did. If you ask me, he ran. Probably knew you'd eventually figure out what he did." The detective studied him carefully. Or maybe someone took justice into their own hands? Daniel leaned forward. "If someone did, can you blame them?" Few weeks passed. Ethan's body was never found, and with no evidence linking Daniel to his disappearance, the case went cold. But Daniel knew that wouldn't be the end of it. There was still one loose end. Ethan's fiancée, Rachel. She had never trusted Ethan completely. When he came back from the trip with Emily, she noticed things. His distant stares, the cryptic remarks, the way he avoided discussing what really happened. Now with Ethan gone, she was desperate for answers. One night, Rachel showed up at Daniel's doorstep. "I know Ethan killed her," she said, her voice trembling. "I could never prove it, but I knew." He was different when he came back from that trip. Daniel studied her, trying to read between the lines. Was she just grieving? Or did she suspect something more? "He got what he deserved," Daniel said cautiously. Rachel's eyes flickered with something unreadable. "Did you?" Daniel didn't answer. He didn't have to. Rachel exhaled, then stepped back. "If I were you, I'd be careful," she warned. "People like Ethan don't just act alone. And if he had a plan, maybe someone else knew about it." The words sent a chill through Daniel. He had thought this was over, that justice had been served. But Rachel's warning echoed in his mind. What if Ethan hadn't been the only one seeking revenge? Daniel's instincts were right. A week later, he received an anonymous message. You took something from us. Now we take something from you. Daniel's blood ran cold. This wasn't over. And now the real game had begun. Daniel read the message again, his pulse pounding. Someone else knew. But who? Ethan had been manipulative and dangerous, but he never seemed like the type to work with anyone. Had he confided in someone before his disappearance? Was this person another ex-lover, an accomplice, or something worse? He couldn't ignore the possibility that Rachel had set him up. She had seemed too calm, too knowing when she confronted him. But if she was involved, why warn him? His mind raced through possibilities, but he knew one thing. He couldn't wait for whoever sent that message to make the first move. He had to find them before they found him. The next morning, Daniel received another message. This time it wasn't a text. It was a photo. It showed the outside of his house, taken from a distance. The caption read, "We're closer than you think." Daniel's breath hitched. He stepped away from the window and grabbed his gun from the safe. He had never been a violent man, but he wasn't going to be caught off guard. If someone was coming for him, he'd be ready. But before he could do anything, his phone rang. Unknown number. He hesitated before answering. You thought this was over? A distorted voice said. You thought you could erase Ethan and that would be it. Daniel clenched his jaw. Who are you? A short, cold laugh. Someone who knows what you did. Someone who knows the truth about Emily. Ethan wasn't working alone. Daniel's grip tightened on the phone. What are you talking about? Another chuckle. You still don't get it, do you? Emily wasn't just a victim. She had secrets too. Secrets that Ethan discovered. Secrets that got her killed. Daniel's world tilted. He had spent so much time thinking of Ethan as the villain that he had never considered. What if Emily wasn't innocent? What secrets? Daniel demanded. The line went dead. Shaken, Daniel went digging. He searched Emily's emails, her old messages, anything that could explain what the caller meant. And then, buried in an old folder on her laptop, he found something. Bank statements. Large sums of money being deposited into a private account under Emily's name. Payments coming from unknown sources, traced back to offshore accounts. Why would Emily have secret funds? Then he saw it. One of the senders was a company linked to Ethan. Emily and Ethan hadn't just been ex-lovers. They had been partners in something that's not just only business. Something big. And whatever it was the real reason she had died. His phone buzzed again. Another message. Now do you see? You're in over your head. Walk away or you'll end up like them. Daniel stared at the words, his hands trembling. He had thought this was just about revenge. About justice for Emily. But now he knew the truth. This wasn't over. It had never been just about Ethan. And now, whoever was behind this was coming for him next. Daniel sat motionless, the weight of the revelation pressing down on him like a suffocating fog. Emily hadn't been innocent. She and Ethan had been involved in something dangerous, something bigger than just a failed relationship. But what? He looked at the bank statements again. The payments were large, frequent, and consistent, coming from shell companies he couldn't immediately trace. One name, however, kept appearing alongside them, Black Tide Holdings. He had never heard of it before. A quick search turned up nothing but vague corporate listings, most of them tied to offshore accounts. A ghost company, the kind criminals used to move money without being noticed. Whatever Emily had been a part of, it wasn't just personal. It was organized. And now they knew he was looking into it. That night, Daniel barely slept. He kept his gun close, his mind racing with paranoia. The messages, the photo outside his house, the warning, it all pointed to someone watching him. By morning, he knew he had no choice. He needed to track down the one person who might still have answers. Rachel. Daniel found her at a small cafe on the other side of town, sitting alone in a corner booth. She looked up as he approached, her eyes wary. I told you to be careful, she said, stirring her coffee. Daniel sat down. You knew, didn't you? About Emily. About whatever she and Ethan were involved in. Rachel exhaled sharply. I had my suspicions. Ethan was secretive. But I didn't know details. Just that whatever he and Emily had, it wasn't just about love. Daniel slid the bank records across the table. Black Tide Holdings. Ring any bells? Rachel's face paled. Where did you find this? You do know something, Daniel pressed. Rachel hesitated, then lowered her voice. Black Tide isn't just a company. It's a front. Ethan used to brag about it, said it was how he and Emily got set for life. I thought it was just some investment scheme, but now. Daniel leaned in. Now what? Rachel's eyes darted around, as if someone might be listening. Ethan always said if anything happened to him, someone would come looking. He wasn't just working for Black Tide. He owed them. Daniel's stomach twisted. Owed them for what? Rachel swallowed hard. For something he and Emily stole. Daniel's mind reeled. This wasn't about heartbreak or revenge. It was about money. A lot of it. Emily and Ethan had stolen something from Black Tide. And when Ethan realized Emily was moving on, maybe he saw an opportunity, not just to punish her, but to make sure she never talked. But if Ethan was dead, and Emily was dead, that meant Daniel was the last loose end.
And Black Tide was coming for him next. Thank you so much for watching this interesting story from Moody Tales. Please kindly subscribe to our channel to get more interesting stories that's much better than this. Good wishes from here.